Kislev, the kingdom of the bear. It has stood solemn and defiant against the hordes of chaos for 1,000 years, a light that has flickered and waned, but never been extinguished, warming the long, cold winters. The vanguard in the wars for the old world. But what happens when the dinosaurs come knocking? When John Hammond lets a theme park loose in your own backyard? The armies of the North are certainly better equipped than the visitors to Jurassic Park, but then Alan Grant never had to deal with telepathic space toads that can fling meteors with their minds. Lizards are a long way from home. A bit out of place in the Oblast, yet they're here all the same, and Boris Ursus will ride out with his finest to meet them. Welcome back to Warhammer 3, where the dinos are invading, and Kislev will defend their homes from yet another threat. Trying out some spicy frost magic strats today, combining Crystal Sanctuary with Heart of Winter. The idea being you send Boris or his bears into a blob, force an overcommitment, and as they pile in to kill your expensive lord and troops, protect them with a massive ward save, then drop a huge damage dealing slow on top of everything else. Very winsome magic intensive, might be difficult to pull off, but could pay off pretty nicely if you're patient and wait for the right moment. Should be joined by 2 snow leopards for their monster and cav hunting prowess. Nice combo of speed, bonus versus large, and armor piercing. And down by the entrance to this mountain retreat, Tzar Boris and his bears, including the Oath Brothers of Tor. Shardblade, Deadly Onslaught, and Fury of Ursun, including 25 bonus versus large innately on his halberd, makes Boris unquestionably Kislev's finest dino hunting daddy. This army is certainly not lacking on the AP anti-large front. They've got all kinds of tools there, and the bombardment from the Oath Brothers of Tor synergizes exceptionally well with the rest of the kit we're trying to pull off here. Crystal Sanctuary will root them in place, but that will force a blob if the opponent takes the bait, and then you drop a huge lightning storm on top of them. As for the rest of the build, 2 Streltsy, 3 armored Kossars, and a smattering of chaff infantry will round out the cult of Ursun. On the other side come the armies of the Lizardmen, led by Aslan Mage Priest of the Lore of Life, 2 Ripperdactyls in the skies, Colossadon Hunters in the vanguard, 15 bonus versus large, and huge melee attack values, making them a big-time threat to Bear Cav, because they will always get their charge off and avoid the charge of any ground troops. But they are squishy and very expensive, so kind of a risky investment. Absolute tide of Saurus, swarms of infantry all over the place, backed up by 3 Feral Cold Ones and some Spear Riders as well, led by the Palanquin Throne of Aslan Mage Priest. Dwellers below, Earthblood, Regrowth, Shield of the Old Ones, Aura of Quetzal, Blood Statuette of Spite. So, looking like a mostly full kit for our favorite Toad from the Stars. Now, big thing to note at the start of this match, not a lot of room to maneuver here. The outer wall and inner village have created a natural choke point that might make it difficult to bring the might of Kislev's cavalry to bear. Ho ho ho. That's potentially an issue for Boris, considering how much they've invested on that front. The bears can munch up Spear Riders and Ripperdactyls all day, but only if they don't get flank charged while fighting something else. Gonna be hard to pull off those classic hammer and anvil maneuvers with the space available here. As for the Lizardmen, they can just advance. In the absence of Tzar Guard with great weapons, Saurus should perform quite well against Kislev's infantry, which are already pulling up a bit too far forward. Terrain's got them all cross-eyed. Skink Cohort will lead the vanguard. Kossars are opening up with their arrow volleys for the moment, and Feral Cold Ones look like they may be ready to perform some early cav action and charge right up the center, just to break up formations and allow a good charge for the Saurus that are following soon after. Which means the Bear Cav will need to activate. Armored Kossars got a point-blank volley in on the clever girls. Not going to deal a tremendous amount of damage to them. You don't bring Armored Kossars really for their shooting. It's a nice little benefit, but not really the main point. You bring them to hold the line, and by Jove, they will do so. Boris and his bears stuck in. Only in Warhammer you see armored polar bears fighting prehistoric raptors. Brings a tear to my eye, and the Oath Brothers of Tor should rip them a new one, but kind of got a janky charge there. Didn't deal quite as much damage as you'd expect, but still immediately triggering the rampage on those Feral Cold Ones, and they should be dealt with quite quickly. Snow Leopards charging up the center to deal with the Feral Cold Ones there. Some nice overlapping fields of fire, but this is where the Ripperdactyls are going to be really useful here, because they can just swoop right over the top and dive in on the back line pretty much for free. Nice bombardment from the Call of Tor. Tzar Boris dropping his Shardblade into the center of everything and activating the Fury of Ursun. Bubble of Note going down that will try to counteract the Heart of Winter that is about to tear the Lizardmen right flank apart if they're not careful. The ward save is extremely useful for a variety of different applications. The big one is when you cast a big AoE spell, deal damage to them, Shield of the Old Ones will give them leadership to keep them in the fight and at least nullify some of the damage. Boris is doing a great job taking a huge section of the Lizardmen army right now. The nice thing about Heart of Winter is it lasts a lot longer than the Shield of the Old Ones. So that third stage, when the damage really kicks up a notch, might still go through and avoid the ward save element of the Salon Mage Priest entirely, as we're going to see here. Bubble of Nope has disappeared. Nice dodge on the Streltsy. They will almost entirely avoid that Dwellers Below. Problem is they're now pretty much in melee combat, which even though they do have axes, Bardishes on the stocks of their guns, they're still going to be way too close to the action. They don't want to be fighting Saurus in melee, so they'll have to beat the retreat real quick. Other Streltsy did notice the banishment, but weren't able to escape in time. Difference being that they tried turning around to run backwards instead of forwards into melee to dodge it. And when a regiment turns around, they take a lot longer to dodge spells. So they are going to take the brunt of that, and now Saurus are closing in as well. Tzar Boris and his bears are ready to charge, and it looks like that Salon Mage Priest might have overextended, probably had a melee attack command on the Streltsy, and might have just got his ass beat if the Saurus Spears weren't quick on the trigger. They are going to be able to provide a little bit of a cushion. Earthblood will keep them topped off, and here come the Ripperdactyls and the Colostodon Hunters, and this is the big danger for the Bear Cav. When those Colostodon Hunters with their 15 bonus for large and 62 melee attack base, before they activate Toad Rage, those can be such a huge problem for your monstrous cavalry if you get charged in the flank or rear while you are previously engaged. They will rip you up. So, we can see that here with the Oath Brothers of Tor. They tried to escape, they got flank charged by the Ripperdactyls, they're taking a tremendous amount of damage, and there is no Crystal Sanctuary for them because the Frost Maiden has already dropped her Heart of Winter and will need to spend some time recharging her Winds of Magic before she can cast again. As I said, very Winds of Magic intensive with this build. You're not always going to be able to get both spells down at the same time. And the Streltsy are being inundated, swarmed by infantry and flyers as well. Smart move to shut down the Streltsy and protect them with the Shield of the Old Ones, but this is the issue the Colostodon Hunters can face when they activate that Toad Rage. They will rampage occasionally, and more than that, if they turn their flank, they also can get flank or rear charge, and Bear Cav will beat them in a straight fight. You do pay a lot on the stat side for having that flying capability. So the extra protection and healing from the Salon Mage Priest should help them quite a bit, but not sure it's going to be enough when they're engaged in CQB with the Oath Brothers of Tor and War Bear Riders. That's not really a fight that any monstrous cavalry wants to take in Warhammer. Even the elite ones, the best of the best, will still take a tremendous amount of damage in a fight like that. Dwellers Below trying to give them a little bit more space. See the Bear Cav pushing through their own infantry to escape the radius of that AoE spell. Colostodon Hunters will be able to escape, but they're not going to have a lot of models after that one. We see Tzar Boris is peeled off from the rest of his War Bear Riders to deal with the Ripperdactyls over on this side. Fury of Ursun imbued them with terror, and they broke off, and looks like they're going to be safe, but also losing a lot of models here too. There's the Dwellers. Gave the Colostodon Hunters the space they needed to escape, but down to about 1/7, 1/8 of their original HP, and we might be looking at the last stand of the War Bear Riders and the Oath Brothers of Tor. They have run out of space to maneuver. By our blood activating, we'll make them unbreakable for the next 30 seconds, and they'll be able to tie up the infantry. But notice how these Snow Leopards are chasing after the Feral Cold Ones. They should have been going after the Salon Mage Priest there. The Life Mage was completely overextended, actually for the second time this battle. Snow Leopards probably would not have been able to kill off the Mage Priest, but might have dropped it real low and forced down early regrowth. Tzar Boris is desperately trying everything he can to free his Streltsy and get some point-blank volleys in with their armor-piercing rifles. They really need that in this situation to start turning things back in their favor. Tzar Boris by himself would be able to kill the Mage Priest no problem. The issue is that the Life Mage has linked up with the rest of the infantry, and the Ripperdactyls have also linked up with each other and are tearing through the gunpowder. So Kislev definitely on the back foot right now. See if they're going to be able to turn things back in their favor with some good play on the Frost Mage. Tzar Boris clearing off all the mobility he can, mounted atop Erskine with his Shard Blade, should be able to cause a DOT and drain the life from the rest of the clever girls, and he can beat the brakes off of them, no issue at all. Looks like another banishment, trying to clear out more of the armored Kossars and the infantry. leave those single entities isolated and alone, where the Saurus would easily be able to beat them in a grinded out fight at the end. And Tzar Boris down here at the entrance to the village, eliminating all the maneuverability and mass that he can to create some space for those snow leopards to dive in and strike the head off the proverbial snake. Those Ripperdactyls have been super annoying this game, used quite well, eating those poor Streltsy booties. And Tzar Boris, completely surrounded by raptors, this is when he's going to want to activate that Shard Blade just to finish them off. He doesn't seem to be killing them quite quick enough to get linked up with the rest of his snow leopards and go after the Slann Mage Priest. You can see in the background there that the Bear Cav have all routed off. We will not see them return. Finally, Tzar Boris has the space he needs to escape, and that is a regrowth. Snow leopards dove in on the Slann Mage Priest of the Lore of Life, dropped it real low, but regrowth should get it back to about 3,500, 4,000 HP. So snow leopards are now in a bad spot. Frost Mage is biding her time, waiting for that perfect Heart of Winter when the rest of the Saurus pile in. And these are the blobs where this spell can just absolutely turn the course of a battle. It's going to be a gorgeous one. Heart of Winter, the first two stages, all about slowing and setting things up for an absolute avalanche of destruction. But the Bubble of Nope will at least counteract the first couple stages here. But the Saurus are not going to be able to escape the AoE of this Glacial Blast, and we're going to watch the kill count on that Heart of Winter skyrocket and that Frost Mage. She's had two gorgeous ones this battle, and this is about as good as you're ever going to be able to get. Hitting a single entity and all the infantry at the same time, damage value skyrocketing, kill count skyrocketing up to 164, and the Saurus are looking a little bit worse for the wear after that one, but still. Bounce bar is in favor of the Children of the Old Ones. 7.5 minutes in, and they still have some infantry that's going to make it difficult for Boris and the Frost Mage to dive in and kill the Slann Mage Priest. Snow Leopard still alive. Her brother, her kin, routing off, will be able to escape with its life, but probably not going to make any further impact on this battle. And now it's an uphill battle for Tzar Boris and Erskine, coated in the blood of their enemies. And there's just so much infantry in between him and his intended target. Colostodon Hunters were healed up by a regrowth. Slann Mage Priest with that Arcane Conduit has been casting so much this battle. Tzar Boris trying to get around the infantry, but pathfinding perhaps failing him a little bit there. And the charge from the Saurus infantry able to tie him down. And this is pretty much going to be the final nail in the coffin for Kislev on their own home turf. The Oblast will fall to the Dinosaurs, and Tzar Boris will not be able to carry the day on his own. And really, this was not a game that was designed for his kit, right? He is designed to fight big, scary enemy dinosaurs, the expensive ones, the single entities, the Crocgars, the Bastillodons, the Stegodons, the Carnosaurs. Didn't really run into much of that this battle. You can definitely get a ton of value fighting the Ripperdactyls, but they were used well. They were kept away from Boris for the most part. I think the big factor in this battle was the terrain itself. The village and the wall, the outer wall, made that natural choke point that made it difficult for Kislev to bring their cavalry to bear, as we said earlier. But it was a situation where they just weren't able to get that hammer and anvils off, and the Ripperdactyls really did a lot to shut down the monstrous cavalry. It's not that the Bears did terrible here. They got some good kills. They got in on the Raptors. They dealt some damage to the Rippers and actually almost finished them off. Life Mage made an insane amount of impact that game. Dwellers Below were mostly dodge, which was nice on the Streltsy's part, but the heals, obviously a huge factor in these kinds of engagements. Healing has always been such an incredibly powerful ability. But yeah, Judy Neutron's Fat Dumper carrying the day for the Children of the Old Ones. And if I could rethink my build here, I'd probably drop one of the War Bear Riders and get some Zargard with great weapons. Maybe two of those, and then drop an Armored Kossar as well. I'm not sure exactly how the math would work out there, but I think that would work. Basically, what I needed was a way to clear out the infantry, right? Because Saurus are always going to trade well into Armored Kossars and regular Kossars, and if you go for a full-on spam with them and bring... How many did he bring? He brought 6 Saurus and a lot of infantry and cheap cav. If you go for that kind of build and just swarm Kislev, well, they need something that can punch back and make those Saurus scared to engage. and I didn't really have anything like that in my build. I went too heavy on the anti-dino and not enough on the anti-infantry, and I think having some great weapons with bonus versus infantry there would have been tremendously helpful and pushed back a lot of the Saurus and created more space for the Oath Brothers of Tor and Tzar Boris to strike the head off the snake and kill that Slon Mage Priest. But GG, hope you guys enjoyed.